This just in, muckrakers dig up dirt about Prohibition, the truth about Chick-fil-A, and racism in the South. Now here's one of our lead reporters to start up the news.
Prohibition. Let's talk about it. So a bunch of people were complaining about alcohol being the cause of birth defects and mental disorders, so they decided to pass the 18th Amendment, Prohibition. Once that started, crime increased, tax revenue dropped, increasing government spending, and caused heavy drinkers to resort to drugs such as opium, marijuana, and cocaine. Anti-prohibition groups such as Women's National Organization for Prohibition Reform worked to end prohibition. Although prohibition ended, there are still lasting effects from it today. After prohibition was extinguished in the 21st Amendment, the drinking age was raised to 21. There are also restrictions as to where alcohol can be served and how old you have to be to serve it. In prohibition, different groups of people had different opinions on prohibition. The people who feared that alcohol was the cause of factory accidents and other mishaps, while the anti-prohibitionists thought that getting rid of alcohol was a violation of their rights.
Thank you, Gabby. Now, as she just stated, different groups of people had different opinions on the subject of prohibition. Some people saw that as a surprise, but why? Practically everything that comes up in history, as well as today, is argued, and no one can agree to initially make a conclusion on the problem. Additionally, the sudden popularity of prohibition caused men to drink more in retaliation to the attempted actions. This type of issue occurs a lot. Some people try to end a common act, but what really happens is that they popularize what they're attempting to get rid of. Lauren talking about the non-progressive.
Howard Griffin was an American journalist and author born on June 16, 1920, who wrote about racial equality. In the fall of 1959, Griffin decided to investigate African Americans in the South firsthand. He consulted a New Orleans dermatologist and was prescribed with drugs, sunlamp treatments, and skin creams that darkened his skin. As well, he shaved his hair so he wouldn't reveal his straight head. He then spent weeks traveling the South as an African American man. After his experiences, he wrote Black Like Me in 1961. The book describes the problems he encountered with simple things like finding food, shelter, and toilet facilities. He explained the hatred he felt from the white Southerners. The book exposed the problems and hatred that many African Americans encountered on a daily basis in the South. Griffin received the Passive and Terrace Award from the Davenport Catholic Interracial Council for contributing to racial understanding. He continued to lecture and write about race relations and the importance of racial equality. He brought much needed attention to the issue and expressed a need for social justice. He brought attention to the issue, but today racism still exists. Although not as serious as it was in history, it can be seen through current events and continues to be an issue. There were different reactions that Griffin received after writing his book. He received many letters of support, helping him get through the stress of the experience. On the other hand, he described the hostility and threats to him and his family in his hometown of Mansfield, Texas. Because of this, he had to move to Mexico for many years for safety.
Thank you, Lauren, for that interesting story. It is amazing how far people went to exploit the government to show how people were being poorly treated. Griffin, for example, put himself in medical danger to darken his skin to be able to blend in as an African-American slave. Now on to you for talking about modern muckraking.
Are you a Chick-fil-A regular? Well, congrats on being alive to tell about it. We all love Chick-fil-A, and many of us believe that the food we're being served is healthy. Well, I'm here to tell you the truth about Chick-fil-A. Come with me as we go undercover to find out the truth. After lots of research, we found a shocking truth. We found that the Chick-fil-A bread contains yoga mat chemicals. You heard that right? Yoga mat chemicals. And why? It's to make their bread more stretchy. Let's start with talking about their chicken sandwich. You know, the one they invented? They're saying we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich is what they claim. Well, I'm here to tell you a few interesting ingredients in that famous chicken sandwich. Inside of it contains chicken, of course, monosodium glutamate sugar, bleached wheat flour with melted barley flour, sugar, salt, monosodium glutamate, sodium aluminum phosphate, soybean oil, non-fat milk, peanut oil with TPHQ and citric acid added to preserve freshness, melted barley flour, high fructose corn syrup, soybean oil again, non-fat milk, wheat gluten, soy flour, dough conditioners, cornstarch, and preservative flavors. Now, why does a chicken sandwich have food coloring? Why does a chicken sandwich have sugar in it? Why is sugar even an ingredient in multiple instances? These are just a couple of the unexplainable aspects of the Chick-fil-A sandwich. A lot of the ingredients are simple. However, there are a few ingredients worth talking about. Let's start with the monosodium glutamate. It's an exotoxin that affects brain function. While it's not proven that MSCG and ADHD are strongly linked, messing with someone's neurotransmitters is never a good thing. Sodium aluminum phosphate is a preservative and chemical leaving agent. It's mutagenic. Again, I'm not saying you will die after your third sandwich, but you need to be aware of what you're actually eating. TBHQ is another preservative, which some studies say leads to stomach tumors and DNA damage. Potassium sorbate is yet another preservative. It's known to cause skin, eye, and respiratory irritation. And studies have shown that potassium sorbate is a genotoxic and mutagenic to human blood cells, specifically to DNA in your blood. Even simple things like Chick-fil-A fries are death traps. Their waffle fries contain a few ingredients that are kind of interesting, like the dihydrogen phosphate, which promotes color retention, and fully refined high oil, and TBHQ, and dimethylpolyhexane. Even the little milkshakes they have, you think it has vanilla ice cream and milk, right? Wrong. A few of the questionable ingredients are cornstarch, mono and diglarides, and microstalin, gum, guar gum, yellow 5 and 6, whey powder milk, non-fat dry milk, artificial flavor, just sodium phosphate, artificial flavor, nitrous oxide, potassium sorbate, sodium, and sulfur dioxide. Nitrous oxide? Really? Why would you even put that in a milkshake? And why is there cornstarch in my milkshake? Why would that even be necessary? The food you put into your body should be something healthy and good for you. And Chick-fil-A is obviously not the place to go for that. Now, I'm not going to tell you to stop eating Chick-fil-A because I know you won't do that, but I'm simply going to tell you to eat it in moderation. Another solution is to have Chick-fil-A tell the public what is really in their food.
Wow, Yusra, that was honestly kind of heartbreaking. My views of Chick-fil-A will never be the same again. Thanks. Anyway, as much as people do not want to believe it, fast food today does not consist of all natural ingredients. It is good that people are exploiting these ingredients within the food we eat almost every day to warn us of our dangers. We can still enjoy these malicious meals, but at moderation. Okay, for those who do not know what the term muckraking is, here's a quick description. Muckrakers are essentially journalists or just normal people who see a problem in the society, muck, and do something to clean it up and fix it, as well as expose it to those who lead it, which is to rake, basically. Muckraking is just what these muckrakers do. Now, President Theodore Roosevelt said in the 1906 speech, "The men with the muckrakes are often indispensable to the well-being of society." How did these muckrakers receive the opportunity to do this, though? Simply by freedom of press. This was introduced with the Constitution's First Amendment back in 1791, and is the freedom of communication and expression through different mediums, whether by magazine, photography, or whatever was available. This freedom allowed the muckrakers to publicize their discoveries and exploit the government without the government's interference. I honestly don't know what America would be like today without the historic reveals of the muckrakers.